Now, we saw the Winnipeg Jets and the Columbus Blue Jackets take care of a couple of items of business this weekend. Who is going to be happier at the end of this year? Patrick Laine or Pierre-Luc Dubois?
Well, if I'm looking into my crystal ball and I say this year or in 2 years, if I'm going on this year, I think it's going to be Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine needed a bit of an energy boost, and when he's playing and he's really in the game, there's not many players that can do more than him. His shot and just the way he can handle a puck in traffic for a big man. So I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think they're going to be happier at the end of this year. But as this relationship goes on after this year and he starts to set in and become more comfortable within the organization, I think it's going to wear on Tortorella. I really do. Maybe next year, whether Laine signs or not. But I think this relationship will wear just because the way Patrick plays. He's a lot like Kessel, right? These guys need to be coached different. And can John Tortorella coach different to superstar players? Since Le Cavalier and St. Louis, I don't know. He's lost a lot of superstar players. And I really like how John coaches, but you have to cater to these guys. There's just no way around it. You have to cater to Laine. And can he do that after this year when Laine starts to be more comfortable at that team concept? So that'll be interesting. I think in the long term, the Dubois Winnipeg thing will end up working out just because you're getting a guy as top-line centerman, a little more meat and potatoes. So I think as the years go on, you're going to see the Dubois thing stick better. But in the short term, I still think the Laine deal for Columbus will be better for them.
I've got a Dubois question for you in a second, but because you bring up the Laine Tortorella situation, when you talk about being coached differently, is there almost an understanding or a piece a coach has to come to with the fact that a guy like Laine, who is a scoring winger, is going to have those dry spells where he's not scoring much, he's not a penalty killer, he's not particularly interested in anything on his side of center ice? Do you have to come to peace with that notion that there could be 4, 5, 6 games worth of nothing burgers, because that's just how things roll with a guy like him?
That's 100% right. 100% right. And we go back to even Marian Gaborik. He ran Marian Gaborik out of town, but Gaborik was the exact same way. Gaborik's a scoring winger. He's not going to penalty kill. These are the things that it'll wear on coaches. But these are the guys that are the game breakers. And these are the guys you need in your lineups that can literally shift a game within 1 second. Patrick Kane the same way. He's a player. He's a skilled player. He controls the game, and he controls the pace of the game with the puck more than Laine would and more than Gaborik. But again, he's not contributing as a penalty killer. So you've got to coach him differently. If you were to coach Patrick Kane the same way as I got coached, there's no way it would happen. There's just no way it would happen. So again, they need to be different. I get the team concept, and and culture within a team is super, super touchy and sensitive, and that has to be there. You have to have that culture. But again, some guys should be allowed to paint inside the line. Most guys have to paint inside the lines. Some guys are allowed to paint outside. And those guys that are allowed to paint outside the lines are the ones that win the Stanley Cup, because great players, I don't know how many times I have to stress this, great players are the most important pieces to winning a Stanley Cup, not great coaches, okay? Great coaches obviously elevate them, but you will never win a Stanley Cup without great players.
With Christopher Steegs, and on your point about culture, you're a teammate, hypothetically, of Pierre-Luc Dubois, and you see a shift like the one that he had that effectively iced the situation with Columbus against Tampa Bay last week. I would imagine teammates are in the know about the goings-on and what has led to this point, and perhaps may be sympathetic, but you're also trying to win a hockey game. Is that a red flag, that Dubois shift? Or is it understood that, hey, some business, unpleasant business is being conducted here?
Well, for me, I'm sure the Columbus guys weren't happy about it, right? This is their guys. This is their livelihood. They're trying to win hockey games, and you can clearly see a lack of effort. And on Dubois' front, he is playing his way out of town. He played his way out of town. It was clear to see, and that's a little bit on Columbus too. Why even put him in the lineup to know that. I'm sure that this wasn't just happening in the game. I'm sure this effort level was happening in practice week after week. I know he came into camp, they said working hard, but as this started to wear on, this was on both sides. You should have just sat him out and waited to find the trade, but instead you put him in. And it was almost like they're playing, cat and mouse a bit, who was going to bite first. And Dubois was just going out there and floating around. So he played his way out of town. You could clearly see that. And now, as Dubois going forward, you better bear down. You're going to a new team. You've played your way out of town. You're a young guy. And it's time to show up now. So I think Winnipeg, they're not going to see that or have that issue at all with him. If it starts to come up in a year or two, then that's when they bring it up. But I don't believe you'll see any of that going forward with Dubois at the moment, because it's time for him to show up, and he knows he played his way out of town and he needs to show up.